Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, so one of our participants in our community, excuse me, this is a success story, and I'll just tell it right now rather than with the some of the positive statements. I'm going to read it briefly in a bit, and that is that woman that's in this community, participant and avidly going free, has a relative who is probably like most of you, like all of us, I guess, have relatives that are anti-white. Excuse me. And this relative was in town. This relative was, I don't want to give away too much information because I don't want to adversely or potentially adversely impinge on this person's life, this person's home situation. But this relative was in the presence of this woman's children, and this woman who's a participant in our community, using the lexicon and dialectics that we teach here, going free. Another great success story here, ladies and gentlemen. She had said something that about how, just a very general statement, not about enjoying our Western heritage. Nothing that one could even really say is white positive. Just something that wasn't white negative, something that wasn't anti-white. And so just sort of a neutral thing about enjoying Western heritage or celebrating Western heritage. And this relative decided to say to this woman's children that non-white races are really cool, and don't be, and then she filled in with this anti-white slur that she used, the word racist. Don't be a racist, children. So how would you respond? How do you think the average white positive person in the white positive sphere, any part of it, how do you think they would respond to that statement? In most cases, in nearly all cases, their response is going to be a losing response. Instead of a losing response in front of her children, which this is where it is most important. This is where it matters. Instead of a losing response, she said to this relative, "No, you will not use that anti-white slur with my children." And you know what happened? That relative froze, didn't know how to respond to anti-white slur. What do you mean? I'm not anti-white. Immediately on this relative, immediately on the heels, immediately backtracking, immediately apologizing, gone from one moment being that hero on top of the white horse, admonishing the children. If you even consider a good feeling, a good sentiment about our Western heritage, then that is immoral. That is wrong, because that's what this relative was saying. Merely having a positive sentiment about Western heritage needed to be, by this anti-white bastard, criticized and then admonished not to be immoral, because that's what this relative was saying, that the children would be immoral if they showed interest or care or celebrated their heritage, and went from being what they thought was on top of this white horse coming in to force this anti-white morality, this immorality on these children, went from being this, in their own mind, this hero, to suddenly riding, instead of that great white stallion, riding an ass and backtracking on that thing as fast as that relative could. No, it's not anti-white. No, I wouldn't use an anti-white slur. I don't think that and then the woman in our community stood her ground. It absolutely is an anti-white slur, and you will never use it again. in the presence of my children. That is how you all have to behave, especially around our children. Don't ever allow some anti-white pig, some anti-white bitch to use anti-white slurs in the presence of your or even their children. You stand up for white children wherever they are, just as I do. So big round of applause to this woman for doing the right thing and demonstrating that when you use the lexicon and the dialectics that we teach here Going Free, you win in those critical moments. Think about how critical those moments were. What would those children have come away from that conversation thinking if she did not have this lexicon that day? They would have come away from it thinking that it is immoral to even mention Western civilization and any sort of remembrance in any way other than shame and guilt. That's another thing she said. You're not going to white guilt my children. So that is the way we should be behaving. So I salute that woman in this community. I hope we all do. I hope you all will behave the same way and you will have the same victories. You stand, it is eminently moral, because it is eminently moral to stand up for white well-being, because it is eminently moral for a Jew to stand up for Jew well-being, for an Asian to stand up for Asian well-being. It is eminently moral. The only one sick in that equation is that anti-white, and in this case, a white anti-white, put right in the place that an anti-white should be put, right on the back of an ass, heading right out of town. So thank you very much for that. So, and so much there too. That can be, that I don't want to make this a long stream, so we're just trying to get through. But so much there to think about. What's going through the mind of an anti-white? They hear someone just mention something really neutral. I don't remember what the exact statement was, but it was very neutral. It wasn't like we are setting Western celebrations up, or Western heritage is XYZ relative to non-white heritage. No sort of comparison. No, just nothing of that sort. Just something very neutral, like we like celebrating our European holidays or something like this. And that anti-white felt the need to say that, well, I'll tell you what, I think that non-whites are really cool, and kids, don't be racist. If I could use the language I'd like to use right now about that pig, you know damn well and good that if this relative was riding in the car with non-white people and the non-white parent said to the non-white children, we really like celebrating, let's just say, our African heritage, this non-white relative would not say to the black children, well, you know what, black kids, white people are really cool too. Don't be racist. Absolutely despicable. Just fills me with disgust. Such